you ever have one of those days where you wake up and 1,000 things are on your mind, or one of those nights where you try to go to sleep but you can't because there are 1,000 things on your mind, all unresolved, then Psalm 4 is a good one for you. We'll dig into some of the words in Psalm 4 in the next devotional videos, but even just the setup of Psalm 4 is really good for you then. So the psalmist in Psalm 4, he addresses certain people. If you read through the psalm, which isn't very long, you can see that he's talking to different groups of people. He starts out the psalm very obviously talking to God. And then it switches. And he's obviously not talking to God. He's talking to his enemies, people who make life difficult for him. And then it switches again. He's talking to his friends. And then it switches one more time. At the end of the psalm, he's talking to God again. So he starts out talking with God. He ends talking with God. And in the middle, he's talking with people who make his life difficult and people who, make him feel comfortable. Maybe kind of like our typical day. You get a mix of both. But you know what it means if you have a day when you wake up and there are 1,000 things on your mind that trouble you because they're all unresolved and you don't know how they're going to turn out? It means you need help because you haven't been able to resolve them yet. And you know what it means if you lie down at night and you can't fall asleep because there are thousands of things on your mind and they're troubling you because they're all unresolved and you don't know how they're going to turn out? It means you need help. And I think that's why David started and ended the psalm by talking to God, because our God helps. There's a time in the book of Luke where he's walking and he happened to walk where a funeral procession was walking. There's a little boy. I don't know how little, maybe could have been a teenager, young 20s, 8 years old, I don't know, but the only son of his mother. And she was a widow, Luke wants us to know. So she had experienced death before. How many troubling things were on her mind these days? She woke up in the morning and tried to go to bed at night, just trying to figure out what life was going to be like. And then Jesus did something. He stopped the funeral procession and he put his hand on the coffin of the boy and he spoke to the dead boy. He told the dead boy to get up. And the young boy got up. And the crowd came to a conclusion about Jesus that Scripture wants us to know. The conclusion they came to about Jesus was that God has come to help his people. God has come to help. And to provide a help that not a single person on earth can give us. We can't raise the dead. We can't speak to the dead with the expectation that they're going to live and then they actually listen. But our Jesus does that. Our Jesus is stronger than death. And stronger than sin. Stronger than troubles. Stronger than anything. And he's come to help. And so tonight, I think you're ending your day talking to God. So take the big load of things that are on your mind and hand them over to him. Because he's here to help. And then in the morning, if you wake up and there are troubling things on your mind, things that you're going to have to do, people you're going to have to face, situations that you won't be able to predict, ask God to help. And he will. Because our God helps. Psalm 4, David gives us just such a simple recipe for daily Christian living in the middle of all of our troubles and relationships in conversations. Bring God with you. Bring him with you in the morning. Remember that he's with you at night. And remember that he will always help, because that's what our God came to do. Rest well tonight, my friends.